in the first. You have to just, you're the first in the South primary. Do you ever hear that term, first in the South? Do you know that, Russell? Is that a big deal, I guess, right? I kept you there, so you should be a big deal. I think I'll take credit. It's a big deal. But it is a big deal. You're highly respected as a state. Get everyone you know. Make sure they're registered to vote and get them out on Saturday, February 24th. It's a big time. Think of it. It's less than 4 months before the season starts. We start in Iowa. We go to New Hampshire. We come down here. You know, the beauty was when I came here, everyone thought Bush was going to win. And then they took a poll and they found out Trump was up by about 50 points. Everyone said, what's going on right here? They thought Bush, because Bush supposedly was a military person. Great. You know what? He was a military. He got us into the Middle East. How did that work out, right? But they all thought that Bush might win. Jeb. Remember Jeb? He used the word Jeb. He didn't use the word Bush. I said, you mean he's ashamed of the last name? And then they immediately started using the name Bush. Never forget it. But we came here, and everyone thought, remember he brought his mother here, his wonderful mother. She was 94 years old, and it was pouring. And they're wheeling her around, and it's raining and horrible. I said, who would do that to your mother at 94 years old? How desperate are you to win? But we beat them by like 40 points, and we went on to a lot of victories. We won in New Hampshire big. We won here big, and we just went in and cleaned out the slate. And then 2020, we got, I guess, 100% of the vote. And now we're at levels that nobody's ever seen before with competition. Nobody's ever seen the levels that we're at now. And most importantly, we're at levels against Crooked Joe that nobody's seen, because you just don't see that with Republicans. They have certain advantages, as you know. They have certain areas of the country that, regardless of good or bad, they want to vote for these people. I actually think they're changing their tune also, because nobody can want to vote for this guy. Nobody. And maybe he makes it to the gate. I don't know if he makes it to the gate. I don't think it even matters anymore, because they have been so destructive to our country, what they've done as a party, that I don't even think it matters. Who are they going to put in? A guy from California that's destroyed that state? They're going to put in Kamala? Kamala. Actually, our numbers are better against Kamala than they are against Joe, so maybe we'd like Kamala too. But 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers, get them all out of our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, the Marxists, the fascists, and we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. Those people right there, they're fake, so many of them. You know, when the Washington Post, ABC came out with their big numbers that I was leading by 10 points, do you know that ABC wouldn't put the numbers on? Do you know that ABC and the Washington Post said this must be an outlier, meaning the numbers that they spend millions of dollars on polling, the numbers must be wrong. It was their poll. And that I watched, they didn't want to put the numbers on, so they covered the minor numbers underneath, but they didn't want to put the numbers on, and they didn't. Now, these are corrupt people. We will evict Joe Biden from the White House. We will continue and we will finish the draining of the swamp once and for all. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and that is happening. I've never seen spirit or enthusiasm like we have this time.
Man, this motherfucker's stupid!
Third, he's probably running out of fuel soon, so God knows if he'll ever make it back here.
I'm back, bitches! They say that America is divided politically, and we kind of agree. There's the dumb, and then there's us. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too harsh for the little snowflakes? This is Right, Left, and Center. This is Right, Left, and Center. No matter what's going on in today's news, politics, social, environment, culture, we're talking about it unabashedly. Real, raw, direct, and funny. Let's rock. This is Right, Left, and Center. And this is your host, Will Jackson.
What's up, fam? I'm back, bitches. You know I'm a clowning motherfucker. You know that? I know you guys miss me, according to the emails I've been getting. But we got a lot to unpack. We're going to start out with the twice impeached, 4-time indicted. Great news coming out of New York from Letitia James' efforts. Man, we're going to talk about Matt Gaetz, Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, and we're also going to talk about this Democrat who decided to take bribes. And they're calling 18 senators. And we have a few that's in the House, Democrats, that is calling for his resignation. Man, oh man. And then we're going to talk about President Joe Biden joining the picket line and taking a step that no other president has taken. So let's dive into this. So in the beginning, you heard Trump. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if he's either unfit in the mind or he's just that damn stupid. He's either unfit in the mind to the point where he doesn't have his facts correct, or he's that damn stupid. I played it, his voice, not mine, and the message speaks for itself. I mean, this guy is skipping the Republican debate, which, by the way, he doesn't need to attend because the Republican Party polling is showing that he's leading DeSantis and the rest of them knuckleheads by a large amount. So why would he attend? Well, here's my thought. If he attends, it really doesn't matter because these spineless presidential hopefuls are really not trying to put him on stage and dog him like he should be dogged. I mean, this guy is facing 91 criminal indictments. Not one of them has spoken on that. This guy has not, well, according this week, he has actually lost a case in New York, the lawsuit from Letitia James. The judge came back and said, well, you know what? Don't need no jury. I'm ruling the fact that Trump did illegal business had illegal business practices in the state of New York. Also, the attorneys brought frivolous arguments in my court, so I must fine them $7,500 a piece. Well, let's take a step further. Well, let's remove all business licensing for the Trump Organization in the state of New York, meaning effective Tuesday, the 26th, September 26th, mark it on your calendar. He can no longer conduct businesses in the state of New York. In fact, what's going to happen if the judge rules on the lawsuit of a tune over $220 million, they're going to appoint, which they have already set to appoint 3 individuals, I guess, to actually oversee the Trump Organization, meaning that bitch Eric Trump and his dumbass brother Donald Trump, they can't conduct businesses. They cannot conduct any business in the state of New York. And the thing is this: if they don't have enough money to pay the fine, then they'll start liquidating the assets as collateral. That could include the overinflated Trump Towers to get to that $200-something million in fines and the restitution in the state of New York. See, the rooster has actually came home and began to roost. So the rooster is checking out the hen house. Okay. And the bottom line is that you can only do dirt so long before it catches up to you. And yet you still have the Freedom Caucus who is backing him. Let's dive into that a little bit. So the Freedom Caucus is backing him, and the Freedom Caucus constituents are backing those congressional figures or those senators that are backing him, which says a lot for that district. The only way I'm going to come up off that district, those districts of those mega Republicans, extreme right Republicans, the only way I'm going to come up off those districts and stop calling y'all dumb fucks is if you vote these people out of office. Because as it stands, the Republican Party has no agenda. Trump is not talking about no agenda. In fact, the people who are running against Trump is not talking about an agenda. In fact, nobody has a damn agenda. Now, Jack Smith actually filed a motion to put in a narrow, well-defined gag order. Now, of course, Trump, being the bitch that he is, he cries, and his attorneys cry for him in the court and saying that's going to affect his First Amendment right to run for office. Well, no. It's not going to affect his First Amendment right to run for office because, see, this will be an order that will be so narrow and defined that he has no other choice but to follow it. Now, I doubt very seriously that Judge Chuckins is going to imprison his ass. I doubt very seriously. I'll be shocked if that happens. Of course, I would love to see that happen because he will violate the order should Judge Chuckins put in that narrow, well-defined gag order. So let me break down this well-defined gag order. This well-defined gag order is real simple. Trump cannot say anything about potential jurors or jurors. Can't say anything negative about the prosecutor. Can't say anything about the judge, who, oh, by the way, if she wants to go get a cup of coffee, security has to escort her to get a cup of coffee. How sad is that? Why? Because this motherfucker can't keep his damn mouth shut. All he keep doing is running his nut rest, inciting those who don't understand that you make threats, you're going to jail, and he's not going to help you. If you fuckers don't seem to understand that, then take a look back at the dumbass in Texas, female who called Judge Chuckin's office and threatened her. And oh, by the way, called her a nigger. Look at those January 6th rioters who are now serving time. And the head of those rioters is serving anywhere between 20 to 40 years. Overall, when you look at all the convictions, there's over 700 years total of all convictions. Witnesses. If he throws out an innuendo on a witness, you can't talk about anything about what's going on in the court or what's going to happen. See, there's a front turner to this. When you look at the liable fraud, 91 indictments, which he's not going to beat all 91 indictments. He might beat some, but he's not going to beat all 91. And oh, by the way, they're still searching to see if this would disqualify him for running for president. Which, oh, by the way, it should. I've been researching and trying to find it. I can't find it whatsoever. See, Trump and his cronies have created such a precedent that it's all new. So in order to fix this, what we need to do is we need to get rid of Trump. We need to get rid of his radical base. We need to get rid of his mega followers. And we need to start clean with Democrat and Republican parties. That's what we need. We need Democrat and Republican parties. You know, the ones that seem to know how to debate, focus on the government and the issues of the government and how we work on making our lives much better. Man, they just don't get it. I hope you got yours. I got mine. More after this.
Have you been looking for a podcast that takes you beyond the headlines? A show that challenges you. A show that's real, raw, and unapologetic. Then you've found your new home. Right, left, and center. Right, left, and center. News, the environment, immigration, politics, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. Join Will Jackson every week, your personal guide to understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Listen everywhere podcasts are available. You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Yeah. Well, I'm not done with this motherfucker yet because, like I said, only thing he keeps talking about is how he's being persecuted within in the media and talking about fake news and fake reporters who is actually presenting the facts as they lay. And oh, by the way, for all you Trumpers out there who are listening to me and are getting really fed up with me calling Trump dumb and calling you dumb too. Well, here's my thing. I understand he's your guy. Okay? And you don't like me calling you dumb. Okay? I'm not going to apologize. And here's the reason why. This is my fucking show. So if you want to call me dumb, get your own fucking show. And then you can call me dumb all you want. I hope you got yours, because I got mine. Now, while Trump is sitting there talking about all these indictments and how he's being treated unfair and blah, blah, blah. He's not helping Giuliani. He's not paying his legal fees. He's not helping those who have been indicted in Georgia, in Fulton County. And oh, by the way, Letitia James is going to tax that ass. I'm sorry. There is nothing worse than having an angry black woman that is laser focused on your ass. I don't care what nationality you are. All us black men, we know, if you have a black woman that is laser focused on your ass is done. I know that for a fact because of my mother, my grandmother, my aunts. On both sides of the family. I'm gonna tell you what, well educated, and that's the worst thing you can have is a well educated black woman on your ass. It doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, black, Asian, whatever, white, it doesn't matter. And what he's done is he has stoked the fire, which led Letitia James to dot every I and cross every T. And so Letitia James picked up what Alvin Bragg wouldn't focus on, wouldn't do. And if you remember, when Alvin Bragg first took office, he was like, yeah, there's not enough stuff here for this. Well, you know what? Letitia James came right behind him and said, you fucked up, because guess what? There is plenty of stuff here. And if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it. And guess what? She did the damn thing. See, and so he's talking about all that. And he's talking about Joe Biden and how incoherent he is. No, wrong answer. Apparently, nobody's played anything back for him. He's not listening to himself. This cat is so damn incoherent that it's freaking unbelievable. You cannot make this up. I mean, he's giving material to comedians just by opening his mouth. I mean, and here's the thing. So now he's going to go to Michigan, a state that don't give a damn about him. He's actually threatened he's talked so much negative stuff about the Secretary of the State of Michigan and the governor of Michigan, where people were trying to assassinate them. And you're going to walk into that state where they were actually overwhelmingly elected and think you're going to get the members of the AUW, Autos Workers Union, AWU, Autos Worker Union on your side? Wrong answer, because you're too dumb to do what President Biden has done. And I'm tired of you fuckers not calling him President Biden. He is the president of these great United States. Give them and serve more time for public office than any of you fuckers did. Whether it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hell, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you was just a sperm cell on the bedspread, scooped up and stuck in your mama. That's all you were. Matt Gaetz, you should have been left on the bedspread. Along with what's his name? Yeah. I ain't forgot about you, motherfucker. I haven't forgot about Jim Jordan. And he has done more for this country than any of them possibly could. So he earned the right to be called president-elect, president of these United States, where he stood on the picket line. He did something that a lot of these presidents did not do, including Barack Obama. He stood on the picket line and actually stated, and he said, Why is these CEOs making, and by the way, Obama bailed these fuckers out. And why are they making in 1 year $21 million? And the people who are driving towards making the company profitable are not making anything. Hand to fist. Paycheck to paycheck. Some of them are single parents. See, this is called, hey, Republicans, mega Republicans, this is called an agenda. Those Republicans that are running for presidency or whatever you call yourself running for, this is called an agenda. Okay? That's what it is. And an agenda that is from the heart, not just selling wolf tickets. He went out there and put the big three automakers on blast. That is what President Joe Biden has done. The only thing your so-called wannabe reelected, about to be president is doing is just, first of all, he never gets his facts right. He called John McCain, who is a great war hero. This is a guy who was captured. He was captured. And when it was time for them to send him home, he said, no, my men are here. This is where I stay. And guess what? He was still beaten and tortured to the point where he could not move, I do believe, his left hand. He had no true use of his left arm. And you call him an un-American, and you have the nerve to say that he's not a hero and you don't like him because he's been captured. Bitch, he did more than you. I can go on and on and on. Now, I know I got fellow vets, that are out there that say, hey, Will, slow down, man. I mean, I served along with you. I've done my duty. I have the right to follow whoever I want to follow. Yeah, I get that. I understand. But you don't have the right to be dumb. You're too smart for that. Like it, leave it, love it, tune out. I don't care. I'm just speaking the facts. Oh, yeah, folks, I got a lot built up in me because it's been a couple weeks since I've been on here. Because here's the reason why I took a couple weeks. Because I felt myself going down a rabbit hole. With all this minutia going on and all this bullshittery and this jackassery going on, I seriously had to take a step back. People were emailing me, hey, what's going on, man? You okay? Hey, I want another podcast. I got people from Australia emailing me. I got people from countries that are emailing me in their language, and I'm like, oh, man, I got to do Google Translate, and I'm trying to catch up. And the bottom line is I didn't reply to anybody. The reason why is because I was trying to come up out that rabbit hole of all this nonsense. Because like every American, I am stressed. I am stressed just like you because of people like Trump, people like Matt Gaetz, people like anybody who just don't believe that the Constitution should be in play. Whew. Give me a second. Damn. It gets gooder and gooder the more I talk. I ain't there yet, but I'm about to. Trump keeps talking about how Joe Biden is crooked. You want to know what's crooked? Being told that you have illegally conducted business in the state of New York. That's crooked. What's crooked is by the way, all you union workers who are out there who in Michigan and Ohio and Kentucky and everywhere there's, auto workers unions and you support Trump, and you turn around and say Trump is for us union workers. Well, guess what? Let me help you out a little bit about this. Now, I want you to think about this. When Trump Towers was being built, he did everything possible to ensure that the union workers in New York did not build his tower. He used illegal immigrants to help build that tower by a way of using contractors who would use illegal immigrants to pay them less, so Trump was not charged more. If you don't believe me, get a hold of these beautiful folks in New York who I adore to death. These folks, I got a lot of listeners in New York, and I got a lot of union listeners in New York. And I'm going to tell you something. They don't have a lot of good things to say about Trump. So when Hillary Clinton called Trump an idiot and his deplorables, wow, she hit the nail on the head with that hammer. Oh man, let me take a 30-second break. I'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
All right, so let me wrap this up with this orange guy. The bottom line is this. He's a disgrace. Like it, love it, leave it. Like I said before, if you don't like what I say, get your own fucking podcast and then counter what I'm saying. Hell, you can even call me out by name. I don't care. The other thing is this. The Fulton County judge has ruled that jurors' names, selected jurors' names, cannot be publicized. Why is that? Oh, it's the same reason why, beautiful people like the poll electors who were threatened. Because his rhetoric causes these idiots to act. Threatening a prosecutor or judge seems to land these damn people in jail real quick. But at no point do you see him diving out, throwing out money to help keep these folks out of office. You don't see that. So my thing is this, Judge Chutkan, she's actually going to rule in Jack Smith's favor. I almost guarantee it. Let's hear from Hillary Clinton. She actually did an interview on Sky News, BBC.
America goes to the polls. Donald Trump is running for president while under criminal indictment. This, the man who back in 2016 consistently accused you of law breaking and actively encouraged chants of lock her up directed at you. It's pretty ironic, isn't it, that he is now a former president that could face a jail term. How does it make you feel?
Well, I always thought about him, and if you follow him, I think you can see it as well. He accuses people of doing things he himself is doing. It's a form of psychological projection, and I always thought that his record in business in particular, but then as we saw him in politics and government, He was someone who cared nothing about rules. He cared nothing about the law. So he has been indicted, and there may be others as well, but he has said he's going to keep running, and there's nothing in our current system of laws that would prevent him from running. But even if he gets the Republican nomination, he cannot, in my view, be reelected president.
Why can't he be re-elected
Because
if
I think
he gets
people,
the nomination?
I think people are, more people are on to him and his behavior than they were before. He has a hard core of support that is likely to help him win the Republican nomination. But in a general election against President Biden, I do not believe he can win.
So you don't think he can win? Do you think he's a bigger threat to Biden than DeSantis?
It's hard to tell. I mean, DeSantis is unproven. Nobody really outside of Florida knows very much about him. And in Florida, they're watching him do crazy things. So I actually believe that President Biden will be reelected, regardless of who the Republican nominee is.
Do you ever worry that President Biden, he will be in his 80s in a second term, is too old for the job?
I feel like I could do the job. I'm in,
You
my
could
mid-70s.
Yeah. Well, you could run in 2028.
Well, I doubt that. But I think it really should be a matter of what he has done as president and pulling together the transatlantic alliance to support Ukraine, pulling together countries in Asia to begin to stand up to Chinese aggressiveness, passing major legislation through the Congress. I think he has a remarkable record. And we're living, though, Beth, in a time when a lot of people expect their leaders to be performers, not producers.
Yes.
And so is he a performer, as we think of maybe one of your prior prime ministers or one of our prior presidents? No, that's not who he is. And thank God for that, because look at what he's getting done.
Facts. Now, I'll openly admit I'm not a Clinton fan. People know this. But facts is what I'm a true fan of. And it seems that only facts are being spoken by people who are not dealing with the far right followers, the Freedom Caucus. You know, like people like Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney. And I love me some Liz Cheney. Whew. I tell you what. Nah, I'm not going to say it. I'm just not going to say it. But the bottom line is this. The man has caused damage, and he needs to pay the price. Speaking of damages, listen to this little bitch.
On this very floor in January, the whole world witnessed a historic contest for House Speaker. I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role. The path forward for the House of Representatives is to either bring you into immediate total compliance or remove you pursuant to a motion to vacate the chair. We have had no vote on term limits or on balanced budgets as the agreement demanded and required. There's been no full release of the January 6 tapes. As you promised, there has been insufficient accountability for the Biden crime family. And instead of cutting spending to raise the debt limit, you relied on budgetary gimmicks and rescissions so that you ultimately ended up serving as the valet to underwrite Biden's debt and advance his spending agenda. Mr. Speaker, you boasted in January that we would use the power of the subpoena and the power of the purse. But here we are, 8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden.
All right. So let's pause right here. All right. So Hunter Biden, first of all, doesn't need to go in front of Congress, because what is it gonna solve? He's already been indicted for taxes. He has a gun charge facing him. And that laptop that everyone keeps talking about, by the way, left it behind, or that hard drive left it behind by accident. That was picked up by somebody else who knew Rudy Giuliani, who then Rudy Giuliani said, let me get that. And then when he got it, he started delivering personal information on Hunter Biden, which is not... Rudy Giuliani is going to lose this lawsuit. And if those of you don't know, Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani because of that. All right, so the bottom line is that Matt Gaetz don't have his facts about Hunter Biden. He doesn't. He's not a lawyer. He's not, he don't know what the law is. I don't know what the law is, but common sense tells me that those who are investigating it to the fullest, because they're actually treating him no different than any other citizen out there. And as President Joe Biden, at the time vice president, as vice president, you're too damn busy to worry about what your grown ass son is doing. I'm too busy with my life to worry about what my law enforcement daughter is doing. And so if my daughter goes out there, which I can almost guarantee you she would never, ever do it. I guarantee my life she would never, ever do it, because she was raised better than that by me and her mother, because I go up there personally and kick her ass. But it's no different if my daughter goes out there and she beats the shit out of somebody just because, or take a bribe from a drug dealer just because, and gets caught. I had nothing to do with that. What is it about that puts me in the crosshairs? No, she was raised right. She's a grown woman. So she did what she did. Only thing that daddy can do is go to her and say, hey, take your lumps. I will support you. I love you. It will not stop me from loving you. But you know what? You're on your own, kid. But let it be known, I support you, but not because of what you did. I'm supporting you for what you're going to do is take accountability. And so that is the type of love a parent gives to a grown child. That is what President Joe Biden is doing with Hunter Biden. He's not interfering with anything. He's not doing anything illegal. He's not trying to steer the investigations one way or the other. He's not giving no private calls. I'm going to tell you something. If he was doing that, I guarantee you a lot of people, including Democrats, in the House and in the Senate, will be crying foul. Why? Because it would make them look bad, because they are trying to hold these insurrectionists accountable. They're trying to hold George Santos accountable. They're trying to hold Menendez, which we'll talk about that chump ass, accountable, who's a Democrat. And so there is no room for error with the Democratic Party. And it is called the Democratic Party, as Jamie Raskins had correctly corrected his Republican colleagues who don't seem to know how to get that correct. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there. I need some more candy. All right, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So Let's listen to some more of this motherfucker.
That's how you know that the rushed and somewhat rattled performance you just saw from the speaker isn't real. At this point, during Democrat control over the House of Representatives, they had already brought in Don Jr. 3 times. And we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. Power of the subpoena and power of the purse. Only thing the 118th Congress is known for at this point is electing Kevin McCarthy speaker and underwriting Biden's debt. And unfortunately, there's only one of those things we can remediate at this time.
Well, let me correct you there, Matt Gaetz. The only thing the Congress is noted for is Republican corruption, bitches like you, Matt Gaetz, Mr. Matt Gaetz, bitches like you, Jim Jordan, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Tommy Tuberville, wherever the fuck his name is. That is the only thing that you guys are recognized for. Chaos. Why? Because you held up a speakership. You wanted to be the backstop to the speaker, meaning that it's either he does what you want him to do or you're going to get rid of him and you're going to keep threatening him, etc., etc. Well, see, there's no remedy to that because the Democrats and some Republicans will join forces to ensure that that doesn't happen because your childish antics cannot continue. Your frivolous lies and overreaching cannot continue.
Power of the purse. Our leadership right now is asking us to vote for a continuing resolution. A vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the Green New Deal, a vote to continue inflationary spending, and in the most troubling of fashions, a vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the election interference of Jack Smith. Mr. Speaker, we told you how to use the power of the purse. Individual, single subject spending bills that would allow us to have specific review, programmatic analysis, and that would allow us to zero out the salaries of the bureaucrats.
All right, so let me step in. Let me step in again. He and the rest of his Freedom Caucus told him how to use the power of the purse. That's what he just said, if I got that right. Half of these fuckers cannot read or write. And they definitely can't get their facts straight. So how are they going to instruct somebody how to negotiate or actually hold on to the purse to get what you want? It doesn't work that way, dude. It just doesn't.
Who have broken bad, targeted President Trump, or cut sweetheart deals for Hunter Biden.
Targeting Trump. There is no weaponization. So Trump is being targeted because of his behavior. He caused the insurrection. He accused Ruby Freeman and her beautiful daughter of doing unspeakable things during the election. He has made comments that threaten our democracy. There are people who have been incarcerated. He has now footed one legal bill for it. There is those who are being charged now in Fulton County. He has not helped. He refused to pay certain legal fees as reported. The list goes on and on. So and oh, by the way, his company in New York was found that they actually committed fraud. And so he cannot do business in the state of New York at this point. And there's going to be people assigned to oversee those businesses and adjudicate anything that needs to be adjudicated. So how is it that there's a target? And oh, by the way, let's not forget Jack Smith. Jack Smith is not targeting him. Trump targeted himself. Okay. A special counsel looked at it, convened a jury, and said, hey, boom. Now, by the way, let me take a step back. So here you have Trump who's saying that I cannot get a fair trial in the District of Columbia. I like to move it to West Virginia or Delaware. No, it's not going to happen. Here's the reason why. Because prosecutors and federal prosecutors will charge that case in the area that crime was committed. Let me say it again. The federal prosecutors will charge that case in the area in which it was committed. There go Mar-a-Lago. He had documents, secret documents, military plan documents. Okay? That's what he had. Okay? But that case is also being charged in the most favorable part of the country for him, which is Florida, which, by the way, still has a travel ban. I would never, ever go to fucking Florida. I'm sorry. I got friends that are in Florida. Carrie, you're one of them. I love you to death, but there is no fucking way I would ever go to Florida because it's just scary. I have to kill somebody down there for running off at the nut rest at me. I could not go there. I'm sorry. And then if you're from around the world, my advice to you, go visit California, Idaho, or somewhere, DC, New York. Go to New York. Don't go to Florida. And I'm still calling for Disney to uproot and move the hell out. Especially when DeSantis tried to throw that little tidbit out there. I'll just build a prison right next to the... I mean, how childish is that? It sounds about as childish as Matt Gaetz right now. Just childish.
September 30th is rapidly approaching, and you have not put us in a position to succeed. There is no way to pass all the individual appropriations bills now. And it's not like we didn't know when September 30th was going to show up on the calendar. I must be better. You must be better. And this House must be better, for it is the last best hope for tens of millions of Republicans. We demand real oversight against this weaponized government. Just look at the bribery. If tens of millions of dollars flowing from foreign corrupt people into the bank accounts of the Biden family wasn't enough for actual impeachment, why were we even looking?
My question is, what bribery? If there was any bribery that was done by the Biden family, such as the president or vice president at the time, or his wife, they will be caught up in a situation like no man's above the law. And like that dude, I forget his name, from New Jersey, Democrat. I got his name here somewhere. Oh, well, he's not even worth speaking on, but I'm going to have to talk about that bitch anyway, because he's an embarrassment to the Democratic Party. What is his name? Menendez. That's his name, Menendez. And so we'll talk about that cat in a little bit. But we leave corruption up to people like Trump. Okay? We're quick to call out those within the Democratic Party that don't understand how to mitigate their way through life the right way. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't know how to do it. Lauren Boebert doesn't know how to do it. Jim Jordan doesn't know how to do it. Matt Gaetz doesn't know how to do it. Ron DeSantis doesn't know how to do it. That punk ass governor in Texas don't know how to do it. I mean, these are the people that are so fucked up. You know, like the woman in Iowa or Idaho or Iowa who spoke when Mike Pence was speaking. Okay, telling him he had a constitutional duty. That bitch need to read the Constitution. This is how far off these people are. You cannot make this up. And if you don't like my harsh words, tune the fuck out. Just turn me off. Delete me from your favorites. Whatever. I don't care. Because I'm going to speak the truth, and I'm going to call it what it is. The bottom line is this. You got all these people running around here, running off at the nut rest, and they're sitting there just talking a bunch of nonsense.
Joe Biden deserves impeachment for converting the vice presidency into an ATM machine for virtually his entire family. We all see it. We all know it. Now, moments ago, Speaker McCarthy endorsed an impeachment inquiry. This is a baby step following weeks of pressure from House conservatives to do more. We must move faster. Now, I will concede that the votes I have called for will likely fail: term limits, balanced budgets, maybe even impeachment. I am prepared for that eventuality because at least if we take votes, the American people get to see who's fighting for them and who's willing to tolerate more corruption and business as usual. Mr. Speaker, dust off our written January agreement.
I'm sorry. I had to down that drink because I need something to get my buzz on because this motherfucker's just talking crazy.
Have a copy. Reflect on the spirit of that agreement and build on the start that we had moments ago. Begin to comply. No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family who've been grifting off of this country, and the impeachment for Joe Biden that he so richly deserves. Do these things or face a motion to vacate the chair. And let me alert the country, a motion to vacate might not pass at first, but it might before the 15th vote. And if Democrats bail out McCarthy, as they may do, then I will lead the resistance to this uniparty and the Biden, McCarthy, Jeffries government that they are attempting to build. I know that Washington isn't a town where people are known for keeping their word. Well, Speaker McCarthy, I'm going to hold true to yours.
You know, for whatever reason, I would just love to see Gates and Gates and Jeffries in a boxing ring. I would love to see that. I really would. Smack the shit out of that motherfucker. I would love to see that. Oh my goodness. You know, like everyone in power with no sensibility, and that includes you business owners, you corporate business owners, you CEOs, you presidents, you vice presidents of these companies, like a Mark Miller. You motherfuckers, and what's that bitch's name in Texas I talked about probably 2, 3, 4 episodes ago? I don't know. Hell, she ain't worth mentioning. She's a tramp anyway. Wears stockings. Served in the Navy. I forget her name. Mallory Buffington. That's that hoe's name. But you motherfuckers just tend to run your mouth off about shit that just you wouldn't say in somebody's face. And if you did, it's because you hold that job over their heads. Now, McCarthy has realized that, you know what? I gave these concessions. Now, the House of McCarthy, I'm going to tell you something. He fucked up. He fucked up by making these concessions. So he put himself in this position. But the bottom line is, I guarantee you, the Democratic Party, along with the leader, Jeffries, and some Republicans, sensible Republicans, will ensure that he does not lose his speakership. One that would not only be bad for our Congress, but this also would be bad for what we're trying to accomplish what was trying to be accomplished as a democratic bipartisanship. See, that's the big thing. And so when you have people on the far right, like Matt Gaetz, who is threatened, there has, you know what, to openly, publicly tell the Speaker of the House, toe the line or you're out. I mean, that is so ridiculous. That has never happened. No one has done that to the Newt Gingrich. No one's ever done that to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is on the record of saying that, hey, you know what? I'm not making no concessions about this speakership. It's either you elect me speaker or you find somebody else, because I'm not giving no concessions. The bottom line is I'm going to run this speakership the way it should be ran and how it should be ran. And she did not allow anybody to dictate to her how she was going to run the speakership's office. See, but yet McCarthy just wanted a picture on the wall of being a speaker. How's that working out for you? Now you need us, Democrats, to bail your ass out, because that's the only way you're going to get out of this. Now, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're out there touting, well, you know what? We'll push for a shutdown. We won't vote on this. The Freedom Caucus is hell bent on just shutting the government down. Now, I want all of you. Now, inflation's already high, but I want all of you, before we take a break, I want all of you to start thinking about this. We have increased employment by, I do believe it's 30%, if I read that correctly. Let's see here. I think the job report about 2-3 weeks ago was like 30-40% or something like that. But anyway, so you're talking about over 700,000 workers, federal workers. Let's start with the federal workers such as our armed forces. See, unlike civilian federal workers, armed force workers like my son, who is now serving in the Marine Corps, and my youngest daughter, who just went to the Marine Corps, will have to do their duties without getting paid. Nowhere in America can you go and your employer can make you go to work without getting paid. Except for if you're in the armed forces. Now, these armed force folks, you know, some of them deployed, whether it be man or woman, they're deployed. And their better halves are at home trying to take care of children. With this inflation level, with the gas prices, with the food prices, this would be devastating. See, this is that high horse we've been talking about. This is that part where you have to take a step back and say, really? Is this what we're doing? You got motherfuckers like Trump who's saying Mark Milley should be executed. No, he should be executed. He should be jailed. That's, you know, I mean, you're trying to shut down the government because you getting a temper tantrum and you don't get your way. I mean, that's dumb. That's dumb. I mean, dumb. Like I said earlier, this will go to power to you voters in those districts, for those who you support, who is willing to shut down the federal government. That will affect our unemployment rating, because, you know, these people who are out there who have families, who are working for the post office, who are working as government contractors who are working at the Pentagon, who are working at the White House, who are working in Congress, who are working throughout the nation in federal positions, they're not getting paid. So if they're not getting paid, what they're doing is they're actually putting a halt to our economy. Because if no one's getting paid and they have to rely on limited income, and for some of those federal workers, they might be a GS 10 or GS 12. They're not making a lot of money. They're living from paycheck to paycheck. Some of them got second jobs. See, 40 years ago, one could say 2 jobs is for 2 people. Now, 3 jobs is for 1 person. More after this.
Have you been looking for a podcast that takes you beyond the headlines? A show that challenges you. A show that's real, raw, and unapologetic. Then you've found your new home. Right, left, and center. Right, left, and center. News, the environment, immigration, politics, the criminal justice system, and everything in between. Join Will Jackson every week, your personal guide to understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Listen everywhere podcasts are available. You're listening to Left, Right, and Center, your audio guide to help you understand the week's news, the world, and how America shapes it. Now, back to your host, Will Jackson.
Whew, man, oh man. It's been a long show. I will say that my Cowboys, they need to get that shit together. They shouldn't have lost to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sorry. And big ups to Nick Chubbs from the Cleveland Browns. Hope everything is going well. Hate to see that happen. Great ball player. Great football player. I mean, I hope he comes back. Because although I'm not a Browns fan, I am a football fan. And to see a player like Nick Chubbs, oh, man, I'm going to tell you something. It's a good feeling to see a running back do the things that they do. It is. So let's round this out here real quick. So, I need to, before we finish this, I'm going to talk and see if I can do what Republicans can't seem to do, and that's chew gum and walk at the same time. Okay? So you know what I'm doing, right? Man, every time I leave my Bible home, there's a soul I want to save. Up jumped the devil in a white nightgown, but only if they knew I was their angel. That's something my daddy used to say. I hope you like that. You can steal it if you want to. So, let's talk about this cat Menendez, senator from New Jersey. My New Jersey listeners, I hope and pray that you're up in arms. I hope and pray that you pissed off to the highest of festivity. Because this cat has actually made you look bad. The constituents of New Jersey, I almost guarantee you a lot of you are my listeners, because I got a crap load of listeners, especially. You guys get angry when you don't get what you want. You guys was emailing me left and right. But that's okay. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. So keep emailing me. And oh, by the way, if you like what I do and what I bring to you every week, just click on the link below and donate if you like. Right now, I'm working on my Patreon webpage, so that way we can have members. And then also, I'll be doing some live shows at the end of fall and towards the middle or end of fall, heading into winter. So I'm trying to work towards that. So, and if you have questions or comments, you can email me at leftrc22@gmail.com. Although I might not be able to get to everyone's email, I will do the best I can. So let's talk about this cat Menendez. Here he is as a senior senator from New Jersey. And he was head of, I don't know what committee, I don't care. But he resigned from that committee today. But this cat had gold bars, $250,000, cash, stuffed in jackets. His wife got a Mercedes-Benz from an developer in Egypt or whatever. And that's crooked as hell. It goes to show that it doesn't have to be a Republican to be crooked. There are a lot of crooked Democrats in this nation that are in the Congress and those that are in the House or Senate and in the House. Let me throw this out here. All right, so I'm driving down the street, have a few drinks, and I'm just cruising along. And I got my little candy here, as you see me stir, and I'm sipping. And by the way, that's good. Vodka tonight, if you really want to know, because I know I'm going to get emails about that. It's vodka tonight. Anywho, so I'm driving, I'm sipping, not supposed to be doing that. Speeding, swerving a little bit, get pulled over, do a sobriety, fail, go to jail, bond the next day, have to report to court the following day. I go in front of the judge, and judge looks at me and says to me, is this your first offense? Is this your first offense? And being dumb that I am, I turn around and say, yes, this is my first offense. And then the judge looks at me with a stern look and says, no, this is the first time you've been caught, and throws the book at me. Why did I use that analogy? Well, see, Menendez had a hung jury before. I believe it was a hung jury. But he still, because he got away with it, he kept his fingers in the cookie jar. Just like many other Democrat or Republican figures throughout this country. Whether it be city, state, local, township, federal. They get their hands caught in the cookie jar. And this is the first time I've done that. The bottom line is it took 18 senators and a bunch of members from the House, Democrats, who called for his resignation. Now, there are some Republicans who are saying, no, leave him alone. Well, see, if he was to resign, the governor of New Jersey would appoint the Democratic governor of New Jersey, would appoint a Democrat to replace him until the next election. So the Senate wouldn't actually lose a vote. Menendez, anybody who's listening to my show in D.C., I got a lot of listeners in D.C., and I'm wondering if it's some members from one of the congressional or Senate aides. But deliver this message. Take your ass home to New Jersey and deal with this legal issue you got going on. You're presumed innocent, so act that way. Don't be defiant. Don't be that Donald Trump. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. If your hand is caught in a cookie jar, what you need to do is face the music. But once again, you've had several senators who called for your resignation, including my favorite Democrat, Sherrod Brown. Love that guy. I will vote for him every single year. So here is my final words as I take a sip. Sinuses again, so please forgive me. Here's my final words. At the end of the day, no one is above the law. We've all done wrong at some point. Some of us got caught, others have not. Having a level of coherency and knowledge of the current environment around you does not mean that you're wrong. Having guessing or sounding incoherent means that you are wrong in every sense of the fashion. Being a bully as a CEO, president, vice president, or a manager, senior manager, don't be that bully. Don't do the shit to somebody you won't do in their face. Because if you're afraid of the repercussions of what will happen to you, you should be. Because somebody might smack you in the mouth and treat you like the bitch you really are. I've said in the past, employers need to take care of their people. They need to make sure their people are valued. I know one particular company that I know of very well in Alliance, Ohio, treats their people like gold. They treat their people like gold. They're fair. They're respected. Man, the CEO, the owner, and the president of the company, they come out there and they work side by side with their folks, and they treat their folks with nothing but respect. Why? Because they know their folks are the backbone to their success, and therefore they reward their folks every week, every day. A reward doesn't have to be financial. A reward can be monetary, as a hello. Hey, I'm going to stand by you and see how you're doing today. I'm going to pull you off the floor just to talk to you. Hey, every Friday, I'm going to get you soup. we're going to do soup or something every Friday. Warm those bellies up. We're going to give gifts. We're going to give gifts to our veterans. that is a real company. No, I'm sorry. That's not a company. That's a family. That is something. That is something that these auto workers are looking for. They're looking for a better wage. They're looking for, if a CEO of a auto company is making $21 million, and then one says, well, that's just due to the success of the auto business, then that money should be sent to the people who is making that money for you. Show some respect. Stop being a little dick. And be like the company that I know that seems to know how to do the right thing. Until next week, knuckleheads.
You've been listening to Right, Left, and Center. Our passion is to talk about today's news, politics, the environment, culture, and anything else that helps shape the news in America. Our 2022 season was so strong, we had to come back and smack 2023 right in the mouth. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And continue to listen on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or anywhere you download your podcasts. See you next time on Right, Left, and Center.